How does a country slip from rigid control into one of the deadliest famines of the late 20th century? North Korea's Great Famine reveals a perfect storm of politics, isolation, and human suffering. In the mid 1990s, North Korea faced a catastrophe it would later call the Arduous March. Estimates suggest between 240,000 and 3 million people died, a staggering number for a nation of its size. But the seeds of disaster had been planted years earlier. For decades, North Korea's agricultural system relied on Soviet aid, fertilizers, fuel, and food imports that kept its planned economy afloat. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, that support vanished almost overnight. Without oil, tractors stalled. Without fertilizer, crop yields plummeted. Then, nature struck. In 1995 and 1996, severe floods destroyed farmland, bridges, and irrigation systems. The following year, drought worsened the crisis. But natural disasters alone don't explain the scale of the famine. The government's rigid Juche ideology, a policy of self-reliance, prevented North Korea from seeking international help early. Centralized food distribution favored the military and party elites, leaving ordinary citizens to fend for themselves. Black markets sprang up, and many families risked arrest just to trade for rice or corn. Reports from defectors tell harrowing stories. Entire villages surviving on tree bark or grass, children abandoned at train stations, and families crossing frozen rivers into China in search of food. The state maintained tight control over information, denying the scale of the disaster, even as bodies filled the countryside. International aid eventually arrived, with the UN and South Korea sending food and assistance. But the famine permanently altered North Korean society. Informal markets, once illegal, became lifelines. Over time, these markets grew into a shadow economy that still exists today, quietly eroding the regime's control. The Great Famine wasn't just a tragedy of weather or mismanagement, it was a product of isolation, authoritarian rigidity, and the collapse of a support system that had masked decades of economic weakness. Even today, North Korea struggles with food insecurity, a reminder of how fragile, centralized systems can be when faced with crisis. The famine's memory lingers in the stories of survivors and the unmarked graves across the country.